And now, Detailing Success and PNS Double Black present the Renny Doyle Podcast, a podcast for blue-collar entrepreneurs. Hosted by the detailer of Air Force One and founder of both Detailing Success and the Detail Mafia, Renny Doyle.
Good morning. What's up?
Good morning. Hey, you'll notice right off the bat, I am not blue this morning.
You're not blue. You
Nope.
lost your career as a blue man in Vegas.
I got myself a cool little light to hopefully, shine some light on me.
It's shining some light on you. Yeah. What shirt is that one?
This one is one I got for Christmas. There's a cool what's it called?
Scout?
Vintage Chariots is the guy's little company. He's ex-LAPD, and he's married to a lawyer who I think is pretty successful. So he's got a car collection, and he got into photography, and then that led him into creating a line of apparel and stuff. And he's got a store in 2 local malls that are pretty cool.
Wow.
Very awesome store. The one in the Topanga Mall nearby, he's got a Mercedes 190 SL convertible sitting in the middle of the store.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah.
So do you have to wear your bulletproof vest when you go to that mall?
I don't, but there's been days where you probably should have.
Right.
They've had issues there.
Hey, I was coming down to go when we left to go to Northern California last week. I've got something that just gets under my skin, and it's everybody that drives in the carpool lane with one person in there. And I grew up in the Inland Empire, so I'm allowed to say this, but it's freaking people out there. 3/4 of the people in the carpool lane were single passengers, and it's like just the Autobahn,
Yep.
So I rag on you about bulletproof vests, but then there's San Bernardino,
That's okay. But yeah, it's a fancy mall, and they have their issues. We even have a is it Tiffany's or one of the really super high-end jewelry stores? It's appointment only in there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's but it attracts trouble, right?
That is high end though to have a Tiffany. So what's on that shirt? It looked like a Scout. Was that what was on?
Yeah,
there?
it's a Scout, I think, with a rooftop tent.
I had a Scout. I had a 72 Scout, and I should have never sold it. I sold it to expand the business. We've got some. I always had assets, collectible assets in cars and stuff, or even real estate, that if things got tough, I could sell. And we did that. But the Scout's one of the ones I was like, man, I wish I would have kept that. It's just cool factor, just old school cool factor.
Yeah, no, they are. You don't see them very, very often at all.
No, and this one was uncut, completely stock. It still had the plastic on the seats from, when you could order the cars back in the 60s and 70s with plastic covers. It had that.
Huh.
So, and the guy that I bought it from was a Seattle cop, and he bought it brand new, and I bought it at a, what's the name of the auction? And I kept watching. It was on a Thursday, so nobody was really there, right? It was kind of opening day, and I just kept watching the truck, and I put a bid in it and got it. So, Silver Car Auctions, that's what it was. Silver Car Auctions.
Well, speaking of Northern California, when you had to go up there, we just finished a 1-day training class up there at PNS.
Yep, that was fun.
So it was cool. I was going to share with everybody. I got a picture of all the students from that class. But we did our extreme 1-day class there. It's the first time in a long time we've done one up there. We've done one before, I think, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. So we had Jason Otterness from Chicago Auto Pros. We had an open house the night before. Eric was up with him. That was fun, getting to know Jason a little better. Eric I've known for years, so it's good to be around him again. But yeah, we had a good time. And then we've got a 5-day going now. So I'm going to bring these guys up. Come on up. Just pile behind me real quick. And just one at a time. Just look how tall. I got to hold on. He's so tall. I got to take and put it up. So I'm going to get out of the way. And you guys just introduce yourselves real quick.
Hello, my name is Christian Purchase. I'm the owner of Car Cosmetics Detail in Denton, Texas.
Cool.
Name's Lance Abney from Lake Havasu, and I have reservation detailing.
Look, did you see him flare up? He's flaring up, man.
I wore my muscle shirt.
There you go. Yeah, you did. Come on up, you guys. Don't be shy.
I'm Robert with Ceramic Auto Specialties from Carmel, Indiana.
There you go.
Hello, Chris. This is Raimundo. It's nice to see you from Beast Ultimate Detailing.
There you go.
Hey guys.
Hi, Chris. I'm Alex. I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm the owner of Climax Auto Detailing.
Yeah, and Alex is a intern, so he's been here before.
Yeah.
So he's in here interning. So cool. Well, thanks, guys. So been a great class. All right. You ready to kick this off?
Ready to go. So today's a Q&A episode. So what we had you guys do was we put out a call for some questions, and I had a bunch of questions sent in to us. And so we're going to chip away at them one at a time here. And let me pull up the first one. And here it comes. So the first question comes from Ramiro Torres, who is on the call today. And he actually came and interned and helped us out last week at that one-day training. But he wants to know, what are your thoughts or your advice regarding subleasing shop space?
Great question. It's all in the details. So it's all have everything. We've subleased out and we've subleased in both. So we've been on both sides of it. It can be a really, really, really great opportunity, and it can also be a nightmare. And really, the only thing it's going to be a nightmare about is just not having clarity. So really, walk the space, know exactly, all parties know exactly what's expected, know what you're going to be doing. If there's any special times that you can't be there. And then also, talk about the insurance side of things, what kind of, requirements they're going to have. If there's any pass-throughs, so if they're going to have any triple net pass-throughs that you're going to be responsible for. A lot of times when we've subleased, when we went to look at a building to sublease, we found out it was a really bad lease, and the people were just trying to get out of it and pass it along to us. And the pass-throughs on it, were pretty intense. And so just make sure, that you've got a real good understanding and everything's in writing. And it usually works pretty good. You just gotta know what you're getting into, and triple net, I never enter into, and subleasing can include those pass-through items when you sublease. And so you got to make sure that's not the case. So most of the time it's not, but just know to ask it. It's a great question.
I know we actually have a couple of members of our Detail Mafia that are sharing shop space together right now. Any, that's luckily they get along, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because again, I think it's just you got to be clear. What the expectations are, what you're doing, hours of operation. Some of those smallest details can be a problem, and so make sure that everything's out in the clear, and exactly length of time. I mean, you got to have an agreement and clarity. What's the exit out of it? And what's it look like when you do move out? Improvements. If you do improvements, do those improvements stay with the building? A lot of times, anything that you bolt to a wall in a lease or a sublease, you can't take out. So if you put lighting systems up, it now belongs to the building and the building owner. And so just things like that. But, I would say that we subleased a section of our shop out at one of our first shops. And the other thing that happened is make sure that the key person that is leasing the shop in the first place knows. So we had an instance where we subleased it out and we were making some money on it. The economy was going good. Space was really hard to get a hold of. And so when the company, or when the individuals that own the building found out we were subleasing, they wanted all the information on it, and then they wanted a piece of the profits, and we kind of got into a tiff over it, and it was a pain in the butt. We ended up winning it, but people get greedy. And so just make sure everybody involved, because you got to remember, are they allowed to sublease? You might go in there, give a down payment, put some money into it, and then the owner of the property finds out that they're subleasing, and now they're not allowed to do that. And so you got to make sure everything on that side is clean too. So it's a little more complicated than what you think. But a lot of times, let's say we had a shop space that we subleased in one part of town because we didn't want to take and bring the cars all the way up to us. It was real simple. The guy owned the building. We used one. He had a roll-up door on the backside that he just never really used. We paid him a flat fee per month to have access to it. We're only there once or twice a week, but it was real convenient for us and convenient for our customers. So because it was like a 22-mile difference from our shop up north to our shop down south, so worked out good.
Very cool. All right, next one up. Let's see. We got Nathan Garrett sent in a question. I think he's referring to our network group, the Detail Mafia. He says, what type of specialists, job specific, do you have in your mastermind group? Did you seek them out individually?
Oh, great question. So, the Mafia is, it's a detailing group, but it is a mastermind group, and I'm involved. I've been involved in a couple of them over the years. I'm involved in a separate one that has nothing to do. All it is entrepreneurship. And so, ironically, over the years is that we've been able to really take the people that come in, right here today is we've got somebody a young man in the body shop industry. So through osmosis and through chance, we've got a lot of people we've got two people I can think of that are really good with finance, bookkeeper, CPA level stuff. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of big thinking entrepreneurs that have got multiple streams of income, and detailing just happens to be one of them. Two of those are car wash guys, that don't actually own car washes, that came in and they offer it. We've got real estate people that are pretty dang good. Mark Johnson, buddy of ours, he's a whiz, at real estate and investing, and both for commercial and residential. We've got legal, we've got an attorney in the group. So just through chance, we've got a lot of expertise, especially on the entrepreneurial side. And so,
yeah. And on top of that, we got firefighters, police officers.
We do
a lot of ex-military, and the guys from the military. They come with all sorts of experiences from within the military.
Well, they do, Chris, and it brings those elements bring a lot of discipline, and SOPs. And so, anybody that comes out of the fire service or law enforcement or the military is they're used to a regiment, and they're used to having a process and system. And so they bring that to it. We also socially, we've got people from all walks of life. We've got people from all over the world. And so it's really cool to get the input and impressions from people that come from different backgrounds. We've got people that, grew up in foster homes. We've got people that had wonderful family situations with family businesses. We've just got so many different, if a topic comes up, we've got somebody that's going to be able to specialize in that topic. And it's a lot more than just car care. Especially, on the money side of things. We've got, we always say this is that, slow growth, slow wealth building. And we've got so many people I can throw a rock and skip it off, 50, 60, 70 heads, 80 heads of people that have become wealthy, over the last 20, 30 years. We've got the younger generation that's come through and tapped into, the coding side of things, and they've done really well. We've got a lot of people in our group that have bought their buildings, that own buildings, and just don't lease them. And so, we've got a lot of exposure there. We've got people that have recently went through, SBA loans and for real estate and for buying out businesses. So it's really cool to think about. Here we are, a detailing group, but really it is a mastermind group. And I even, said that down in Florida when we were down there for our Mobile Tech meeting, is that, this was never intended to be a detailing group. This is intended to be a mastermind group of entrepreneurs.
Yep. We have that. That's what I've been telling people lately. It's an entrepreneur group, and they happen to all be detailers.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. With a lot of different exposure in different areas of entrepreneurship. It's not just so many people. Even us, Chris, we own, we don't just do detailing businesses, we're involved in different things. So, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty neat to see where it's grown into over the last, God, I got to do the math. 17, 18 years. It's crazy to think that, we've been around that long.
Very cool. All right. Our next one's a good one. I decided to keep it anonymous because it could be kind of a sensitive topic for them. But it's somebody we know. It says, can you give some life and business advice to someone who is struggling through a slow season right now, not getting any calls or leads? Is it worth it to get that second job, or hang in there a bit longer and everything will be better?
Don't ever hang in there. Go get a second job. I know who this individual is. You're young and capable. I did the same thing. I had a job when I didn't need a job. I just did not want to interfere with my finances on the business. It was survival at all cost. It didn't, it's like this young kid years ago, probably a decade ago, that got trapped in Utah. Boulder came down his arm. He ended up cutting his own arm off to get out. I'm a pretty hardcore dude. I don't think I'd be cutting my own arm off in the wilderness, but who knows if I was put in that situation. But on the side of survival is I will never, as soon as I start dipping into savings or using credit cards, time to go get a side gig. It could even be short term, but think ahead. Don't just wish. The other thing is, a lot of people will sit there and the phone's not ringing. You got to go make it ring. And so getting involved in your chamber, getting involved in the Rotary Club, getting involved, if there's a car event over the weekend, you should be there. The other thing we did that really helped out is I went and got some dealership work, and it didn't pay much, but it was income. And the other thing I did is it got us better at what we did. We were practicing what we did. And even this was a trip because we had our third year. We had 2 full-time staff members. They were full-time and didn't have side gigs. I had a side gig. I taught skiing on the side. So I had employees, but you know what? I wanted to keep them for the next season, and it worked out. So I kept the side job, and the guys I had going at the dealerships, I had one at our retail shop, and I had another one at our wholesale account with a Ford dealership. And so just get creative, but it's all about numbers of who you meet and just getting out there. But yeah, if you're thinking, dang, you should have already done it. And the good news is there's a lot of great high paying jobs right now. They're pretty flexible. People can't, and I know who this individual is, you get creative and you tell them the schedule you're involved, that you're able to work, that allows you to still take work in. The other thing is put yourself where you're going to get more work out of it. So I don't drink. I become a bartender, at a country club. I wouldn't just go get a job at Amazon. Although if I got a job at Amazon, guess what I do? I'd be selling every day at Amazon details. I'd be mentioning everybody I co-worked with. So, I think that, we're still a couple months out, of really hitting the season, hitting stride. Don't take a chance. Just go make some money and don't take anything out of your business. Don't hurt your business.
Hey, one of the easiest side gigs right now is driving for Uber or Lyft. I mean, I had a long conversation with my last Uber driver, and it's pretty interesting the things those guys do to actually turn that into a full-time career. So,
we've got a friend of ours that's a retired cop, and he drives for Uber. He's got a small, really economical car, Prius or something like that. I can't remember. It's bigger than that because he wants to be able to get the bigger groups. But the whatever vehicle he has, it's super economical to drive around in, and he bought it just for Uber, and he turns that on and off. You've got the freedom. So what he's been doing is he goes down and works down in the Coachella Valley, all the Coachella and all the concerts and stuff. So he goes all over Southern California following big events as an Uber driver. And he kills it. And he's real personable. So he says, people usually leave tips on the app, right? But he says he'll walk out with $150 cash because he's just super nice. Yeah. They'll say, hey, can you stop by the store? Yeah, you bet, man. Let's get in there, And so that's a great idea because it's flexible. You can make your schedule. So I'd be all over that. I'd be going and getting a Chris Lee Corolla, and dressing up the tires real good like we did for him. So there's an inside story. One of our guys, Chris Lee, can't stand tire dressing. And Alex, one of our other guys, he's got a little Corolla that he bought. That's a shuttle car for his business. One of our guys, Alex, went and put permanent tire dressing on his Corolla. I mean, just as glossy as you can imagine. So we always teased Chris Lee. Hi, Chris. Hey, did you see that? Somebody from Mexico just said hi this morning. That's cool.
There you go. All right. I'm going to scoot on over to the next one. We've got another question from Nathan that came in. So Nathan Garrett asks, this one's could be deep, but how do you know when it's time to ask for help, even if you think you don't need it?
I always need help. No, I'm serious. I always need help in my business. I need to understand my finances even better. I need to understand where I'm going. I need to get specialty help. We're going through tax season right now. So we're having weekly conversations with our bookkeepers and our CPA. With what I shared with our CPA last year at about this time, I had an hour overview meeting with our CPA and our bookkeepers, and I just felt that they weren't getting a full 100,000 view of our businesses and what we were doing, and it ended up saving us $26,000 of having an hour meeting and just laying everything out for our accountant. So, if you're struggling with marketing, like the previous question, or even the previous one from that, the very first question on subleasing, that's the nice thing about being involved in like the chamber or something locally, a Rotary Club. I hear this all the time. Well, ours isn't very good. Well, go make it good. It's what Oscar did. Oscar Hernandez went up and he made a good chamber of commerce great. So there's what's really nice about networking around with people is that you're going to get all kinds of access to people that really know. We had Craig McKay was on our Masters highlight on Monday night. This guy's got, he's developed, huge developments. He's built car washes, done all this stuff. I've utilized Craig 3 times in the last month where I needed help and I needed input. And so, man, if you're even a little bit confused about something, even a little bit, you don't have full understanding, you need help. Just a minute. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. So, I'll give you the illustration is I really believe in every year people need to start something new, something they've never done before. And so 18 months ago, I started riding horses. I hadn't ridden a horse in 30 years. And then I transferred to a mounted unit, in the guard, and I bought a horse. And I remember the first lesson I took on him. Rip's a big young horse. He knew I was naive. He's like, "What the hell are you doing to me? I'm going to show you a lesson right now. I'm boss, not you." And then I remember the trainer coming in, and I'm like, "This is embarrassing," because here I am, an expert in search and rescue and all these different things, and an entrepreneur, and speak all over the world. And here I am taking lessons. And I got off the horse. I took a knee and I said, "Calm."
What was that?
That was wind. Holy smokes.
Oh man.
Yeah. That was sandblasting the building. But I remember humbling myself and saying, "She's the expert. I'm not. Calm down. Get back up on this horse and listen to her, not you." And made a world of difference. And so just admitting that you don't know it all is part of it, but I've got to constantly need help. And I don't look at it as help. I look at it as learning, right? The other thing is admitting what your shortcomings are and outside, I'm not good at bookkeeping and prepping my taxes. I don't think a lot of people aren't. It's not your forte. It's what a CPA is for. It's what a bookkeeper's for, right? And so, I outsourced all that years and years, long time ago, over a decade ago. But now I've even outsourced more of that because honestly, it's cheap. To get all wrapped up around the axle on that and have it bother me, which it does because I don't know it. So I needed help. So I think the second you even think that thought is that you're already past the point. You need to go get that help. And don't be embarrassed about it.
Sometimes it's just a matter of not having all the time in the world to do things too.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not just taking that off your plate to go do what you're good at and make more money.
All right. Next one is a product and detailing question. So Jose Luis Castro asks, what products and processes do you recommend to get the paint clean prior to paint correction?
Oh, cool. Well, naturally, a good soap. And soaps are going to be different because I'll go back. So, if if you're working on standard cars that are pretty clean, like we worked on 2 yesterday, or just my Jeep was just trashed. And so we got the P&S off-road line out because it was just clogged with mud, right? So any kind of specialty products, but in general, just a really good soap, right? And so we used Pearl on it once we got it all, pre-treated, and then all the mud, busted off of it. And then we go into from there. Maybe sometimes, like we used to do a lot of, and this is another one, you're slow. This is what people don't think about, is go to an equipment company, a company that does, that works on forklifts or big equipment, big front loaders and backhoes and stuff like that. So we took and would do all the fleet washing for a company. And we would take, and believe it or not, their stuff would be so greasy and so nasty. We used Dawn dishwashing liquid because we had to cut through all the gunk and grease, and then we'd rewash it with the normal, with Pearl soap to kind of fine tune it. And then we'd spray it down with, a bead maker type product. And so especially like that, naturally, if I'm going to do paint correction and coatings, both, is we're going to take in, use an iron, remover. So an iron buster type product. And then from there, any specialty products, you're going to have to get bugs off. If there's bugs on there, bugs can be nasty, especially in different parts of the country. And so using a really, good bug cleaner to get that off of there. And so there's an array of products. And then, your paint preps, you got to be careful. All paint prep products, as you're cleaning the surfaces, aren't all designed equally. Some of them are really what I call hot. They're strong, and they'll cinch, they'll burn the paint, if you're not careful. And so we like a really balanced, in the body shop, it's oil and grease remover, and so it panel prep. And so using stuff like that is all key to it. Now, truth in advertising, when it comes to iron removal, these guys, we were all talking about it yesterday. It's got a very unusual smell, and I'm not a big fan of iron removing scent, right? And what a lot of people don't realize is that scent hangs around for a couple weeks on the car, even when you rinse it well. When a driver gets in it, you can smell it on the car for a bit. And so I only use iron removing products when I absolutely have to, and I'll do a little test like we did yesterday. We did a little test and car had nothing on it. There's just nothing churning. So why are you going to do it if it doesn't do any good? Just going to smell everything up. So there's that. Pretty simple.
Yep. One thing you actually left out, but it was in the process there, was cleaning the vehicle.
Clean it. There you go.
So we used paint prep and a clay towel this past weekend to clay the vehicle in the 1-day class. But once you clay it, and you're good to go on the paint correction after that.
Yeah, and traditional clay, there's still a place for traditional clay. We used traditional clay on the car behind us yesterday to get it ready that we're going to do paint correction to today. And and so not just the new fancy clays really are cool because it speeds the process up, but sometimes, man, you got to go back to old school clay and just use that. So tar removal, we talked about bug removal, but tar removal too. Road paint, there's a product called Get Off Clean. Mike Liebing builds that, so I mean, there's just an array of products that you need, and you've got it. I'm really big on every step in between correction. So if I'm going to do a 2-step, is I'm using a panel cleaner, I'm using paint prep in between each step to cleanse the paint off in between, to get the compound off, to get it ready for the polish. So I'm a stickler for that. I like to have my surface really clean.
Yep. Cool. All right, next one is a little controversial. Chris from Detailer's Roadmap. I think you guys probably have been seeing him lately. What are your thoughts on having starting prices on your website?
Mine's I don't, because it takes the salesmanship right out. I'm a really good salesman. I'm not even a salesman. It's I connect with people, I think, really well. I was never when we came back into detailing in the 90s, after selling the first company back in the 80s, is that I came in and just said, listen, I'm going to be a new level of detailing professional. Is that I'm going to be closer to a dentist than I am to a detailer. Is that we're just going to put a show on. It's a Broadway production. We're going to do higher end work. We're we're going to take and use different types of equipment. We brought, early adapter to Steam. But I want the phone to ring and I want to connect because we sound different than other detailers. We do things way different than other detailers, and we connect better than other detailers. Now, in the event that you're going to take and put prices, starting at, so I would be open to starting at prices, but we never did it. We wanted the phone to ring. We wanted to get it because too many cars have too many specialty needs. And, the last thing you want to do is piss off your market. So you give them a price and then they come in and you got to change the price because it's got other needs. We've got people in the industry, and there's a lot of people doing this now, but Justin Lobato was really early on this, is that he won't schedule anything until he sees it. They got to come in for an evaluation and then they have to put a deposit down, to schedule it. And that used to be unheard of. We didn't do that. We didn't go that far back in the day. But Justin's done really well at that. And that's kind of the new norm that's popping up, is doing that. I like it. And so I didn't put prices on. I just said our services for a free for a professional evaluation call.
Yeah,
a lot of
most
modern
people. I think detailers will find. Probably everybody will agree with this, that most of your potential clients, tend to be price shopping. They don't ask the right questions, and that's why you got to be able to answer them for them still, even though they're not asking them. One of the things that they do is they compare prices instead of comparing services. And you don't know what your what costs one thing might include a whole bunch more than the item next to it that doesn't cost as much, but they don't look at those details. And it's interesting, even though a lot of detailers will complain that, my customers aren't, they're not taking into consideration that I provide so much more for their money. When people reach out to us about our training, always the first question is how much. They never want to know what they get for their training dollars.
Exactly it.
So
well, and that's a great point, is that we'll get people that will call and kind of rush us to price, right? And I'll just stop them right there. I'll say, look, at what's more important to you, quality or price? And if they say price, not a fit. And I have no problem saying, even when I was starving, because I wanted to build my business up with the right clients from the beginning. Because if you start building a business up and you've got your wrong ideal clients, God, it's going to take you years to shift that. And it's going to be really expensive, and you're going to probably get burned out, and you're probably going to quit. And so we wanted the right clients from the beginning, from day one. Now, I did take wholesale work, but I would rather take some wholesale work that I can dump and it's not related to my retail work. And that just paid the bills, So I don't like prices on the website. Get them to call me. My mom was answering the phones, and she came up with all kinds of, gosh dang, when she answered the phones, she did like 99.9% better than I did, because she just had this magical way about her. People loved her. She'd answer the phones and, good morning, attention to details. What are we going to shine for you today? And then when I go out and talk to these people and doing the work, and they're like, your mom said you better do a good job, or I've got her number, I'm going to call her up. And how could you beat that connection? Especially we're all small family businesses. A lot of people try to hide behind a corporate image too, when they get on the phone. Man, not me. I'm Main Street mom and pop right now, is that I'm not Amazon. I know what we are and what we're not. And I'm good with that. I'm Renny. I'm the one that's going to be doing the work. Is I highlighted those things, and that's why we didn't put prices up. We still don't.
We have a comment in the feed that does bring up an interesting thing. One of the common features of a lot of really good websites these days that detailers have is the customers being able to book their service, right, by using integrating with companies like Your Able and RoadFS and stuff.
Yep.
So not having your pricing makes that process a little
bit.
Yeah,
it does. It does, and I guess it's going to come down to what type of company you are. Who you're selling at. If you're doing a little more, wash clay protects and wash clay coats and stuff like that, that does make sense. It really is. That's a practical sense. But we just never did. I wanted to see the car if I could, but it is with all the new software and so forth. But I don't know. I still like the one-on-one contact and talking to them. You know, I prefer that. I don't like the text and email concept. I want to take and be able to talk to them if I can.
Well, people can certainly experiment with this, right? I mean, you could have prices for a while.
Absolutely.
90 days later, you could take them off, and you could see how it's different.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's A/B testing, man. Test it, A or B. And see what happens. I dig there is both sides. It is controversial. It is. I'm just sharing my opinion that I didn't like having prices up there. It does going to make it harder, but again, I think. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an online. Okay, so I was looking at getting this a couple of years ago, getting a suit made, and I was like, okay, what's this going to cost me? So I called. There's two guys, one down in Palm Springs, another one down in Riverside, and I said, well, what's your average suit? And he says, man, it just depends. I got to get you in here and see what you're going to like and everything. There's just no way that I can even give you a baseline. He says, $1,000 to $5,000. And he says, I am a custom cutter. I'm not just, I don't take the suit off the rack and cut it. I cut everything myself. Everything, the suit is made from the ground up, one piece at a time. And I just can't even give you an idea until I see you. And you know what? I ended up going to him, and I'm really happy I did. And I relate what we do to that. It's a custom fit suit. Yeah. Even on the entry level stuff on wash clays and protection, clays and coats, is that I still want that personal connection with people.
Yep. Well, hey, good points. Like we said, it's we can go back and forth on that one all day long.
You can. It's really going to come down to what your market. Different markets. There might be a market in let's say Las Vegas. I would still Las Vegas or Los Angeles or anything else I would have a specific crowd I'm going after, and I target that crowd, and I wouldn't even mess around with what the average detailer is doing, because competition's they're too cheap.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Vegas, Arthur Smith wrote in, I'm a detailer in Las Vegas. What is the best way to secure wash and detail contracts with some of the casinos?
Oh boy, that's a tough business. You're going to have to back. What's that?
I was going to say that's going to have to come down to some kind of relationship building, right?
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to have to backdoor it. And what I mean by that is getting involved and find somebody that knows somebody. Is you've got 6 degrees of separation. You're only 6 people away from somebody that knows that general manager or somebody. Try to get an insight to that one. And but man, I got to tell you, is Arthur no harm, but every detailer in Las Vegas is aiming at the same thing. They're going after the same thing. And there are some good contracts out there, but it's kind of like dealerships. They're going to take and I mean, a lot of times just go to the cheapest, most available, source. And so, knowing the Vegas market pretty well, I'm not even sure I'd go after that. I think I'd go after the country clubs. I think I'd go after some of the high end. I would join the chamber. I'd join different business lead groups. I'd get together with the contractors there that are supplying services, the AC guys, the HVAC guys. That was great work for us, because they're making money. The electricians, the electrical contractors, is that you can go after the casinos, but you're going to have to, in my opinion, you're going to have somebody on the inside pushing you. And every detailer out there is going for that, because it's pretty easy money, right? Now we did have the shows, some of the shows out there, World of Concrete. Those are good contracts, and so I'd look at those. But if the casinos, if you see a lot of opportunity, is I would go and try to find somebody on the inside that could give you a good referral and do it that way. So it's going to be a slow process, but the good news is once you get it, if it's a good contact, it could be rewarding.
One thing to keep in mind is if you're talking about a contract with a casino where the casino's paying you, they're most likely going to have at least 30-day terms on those payments with you.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So
they are. So then you're tracking that, you know, and you got to track that down. And so I knew detailers that have done this in Vegas, and it wasn't an easy road. I think there's easier money to be made in Vegas.
Yep. All right. Sarah Riles asks, I hope I pronounced her name right. So she lives in a small town of about 250 people, so that's pretty small. She wants to offer leather repair through Richard Hutchins, but her husband thinks that the training won't be worthwhile due to the size of her market, meaning that, you know, she won't see a return on her investment. What are your thoughts on that?
First off, Richard's a great guy. Just a great guy. Second off, I spent about 12 years of my career as a leather technician. We lived in a town of very high end. So if you've got 250 millionaires and billionaires with jets, cars, fine furniture, I'd have to go with your husband. I think it needs to be about 100 times bigger. Unless you've got a town really close by that's got a lot of more people, and it's got there's a lot of disposable cash. I just think it's too small market.
Yeah, you know, but if you must, right, just don't forget that it doesn't have to be limited to cars, right? It could be fine furniture, like you mentioned, and all those other things. So
restaurants need repairs. Yep. Aircraft that's what we went after. We're after the private jet market, and they get pin marks constantly, and just taking pin marks, ink marks out of leather. We made a small fortune doing that, but it's a specialty, man. We're in a really, really small market with about 15,000 people, but the average earnings were stupid. I mean, it was such a wealthy community. And then the jet stuff has just kept us alive. So you've got to look at everything. Now, if you're willing to travel, and you can put something together for, traveling and cover areas that are maybe, a couple hours away, that's the other side of it. That's going to make it tough too, so, but God, Richard, he makes it easy to say yes, because he's just such a great guy, but I'd have a heart to heart with Richard, just tell him what I said and what your husband's concerned with, and see what he says. He's a straight up shooter. He's gonna share with you what he thinks. And I might not be seeing something, we might not like I said, you might be saying it's, all 250 people are billionaires and have jets and yachts and really fine leather, furniture, and that might change it a little bit.
Very cool. All right. So yesterday I had a conversation with Sean O'Reilly on this one, and I don't have an answer, but he's got the opportunity to restore an old stainless steel railroad car. And he wants to know what's the best way to clean and polish stainless steel, and then how do you protect it afterwards?
Wow. And we've talked about this of us coming up and helping him out on this, this summer. It's really cool looking. This thing is just vintage. It's just, oh my God, it's so cool. So stainless steel is a little tough. You got to look at it. Did it have a machine finish? Was it polished up to perfection? If it had a machine finish, a lot of times you can come back in and kind of remachine finish it, and that's going to be a little easier. If it was out to a mirror finish, that's a whole nother story. And so you're going to have to go in and use a combination of rotary and maybe even drum buffers, some heavy cut with yarn. You're going to have to use some yarn, and so and you're going to multi-step it. Matter of fact, it's probably going to take you several services over a few years to bring it back to its maximum potential, what it's going to realize. And so, if it's simply, if you need to take, and it does have a machine finish to it, is Dynabraid's got some great tools. Matt Denny would be a great resource for you at Dynabraid. If you email us at renny@detailingsuccess.com, I'll put you in touch with Matt Denny with Dynabraid, and they've got a lot of specialty products for that. For instance, we're going off the stainless on the Concorde jet, and we're taking, and it was originally not polished out as a machine finish. So we're coming back through and putting the original machine finish back onto it. And it's still a lot of work, but it's a lot easier than polishing it out. And then when it's finished, there are coatings out there that will work with that stainless. Now it's going to dull it down. If you are going to a mirror finish, it's going to take a little bit of the shine off of it, but it's going to last a lot longer. So I'm sitting on a stainless steel desk right now, and it's coated. And without coating, it would have rust marks all over it within a couple weeks. And so the coating's night and day on it. And so we can put you in contact with those. Just send me prepare yourself. It's dirty work. It's hard work. It's very rewarding. Very rewarding. I mean, when you get that out of there, but we'll put you in touch. I think that Matt Denny would be a good resource for you, and he'll help you out with recognizing it. Get some close-up pictures and video of it, and that will help a ton. So
very cool. Yep, that's some of the advice I already gave him was the close-up pictures and videos, so we can move forward. So that was the last pre-planned question, but I got a couple that came in if we want to tackle them.
Heck yeah.
This one, I can't see who it is, but I think I know who it is. Facebook user. I've been really torn lately. My son has done some pretty cool stuff lately and is doing even more bigger stuff. I have a lot of people saying I should be doing more to promote him. My son loves this and wants to pursue more. And let's see, I can't read the whole thing. I have to hide it to read it. Hold on a second. Renny is the master of branding, and there is a lot of people who have successfully branded themselves. So who better to ask, how should I proceed to, I guess, brand my son for his best interest? So I can't see, but I think this might be Steve Thompson and his son, who is becoming known as the Detail Kid. So,
I would say get his skill sets up to where he is insanely good. That, it's we've all seen this, is that you get college athletes, for instance, that do really well, but they're really not that good. Once they get to the pros, their skill sets kind of suffer. And so I think that getting those skill sets just over the top, just get the skills where he can back it up. I think that's it. Have true success, because here's the thing is, like, if you want to promote somebody, a son or yourself, to get out there, is that you got to be the real deal. And so, I never meant this to happen. This wasn't where I'm at now. It happened because I became successful on the other side of using the tools and making money at using the tools and being super successful at it. And then people started coming to me. I didn't go to anybody. Is I made myself valuable, and had people come to me, and that's it. If you go hunting, I think it devalues it. I think that you want people coming. If there's two people, I think this could be Steve. It's definitely, Steve and another person. Is that I think that the opportunity's out there. If there's a cuteness factor, right? That sells all this, but all of us, I mean, I'm a good example of that. At some point, the cuteness factor wears out. Just saying. Thank God my wife still thinks I'm cute. But you've got to be so good at what you do and making money and stand out and doing dynamic things. And so I think that's the best way to do it, is because it's wholesome and it's real. We've all seen politicians that shouldn't be there. They got elected and they're lost, right? And we've seen that. So many people right now they go, we were talking about this last night, right? Is, hey, how do I get companies to, give me huge discounts? You got to make yourself valuable, and you got to look at what's in it for them. Yeah, you're a detailer, you're doing some cool stuff, but there's 10,000 people doing that. What makes you stand out? And so youth definitely does that. Youth stands out that way, right? But it's got to be deeper than that. Make it really, really deep and real.
Yeah, and I've met his son. He's very good, very polite, good communicator, and all that. But those are areas too that, as good as he is, that you should develop as well. in addition to just detailing skills.
Well, if it is Steve and his son, his son does, and I hate not calling him by his name, but he looks you in the eye. This kid's 11 years old or something like that. He looks you in the eye and he shakes your hand. That alone is valuable, right? I mean, it's cool. So the kid, if it is, we'll just use him as an example. Is that he's already got? I mean, he's got the youth, he's got the cuteness side, he's got the communication side, but now, it's. I don't watch these shows, but I like to see the commercials of the moms that put their daughters up on that model, that their kids go into beauty pageants, these little tiny girls. You don't want to be that dad.
Right.
Don't be pushing the youth to push yourself. Really, truly develop. I like the word develop him or her to the point that him or her brings really true value. And I would say get him to the point where he is detailing on his own, he's correcting on his own, he's coding on his own, and you've got something. You've got something. If this kid's got a trackable profit per hour that is exceeding what a lot of professionals do or matching, you've got something. That's how I'd push it. Damn, I need to go back and re-talk to my kids. Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's fun.
Yep. Here's a good one from Tommy. We just spent some time with Tommy recently. So, separate from the lease, what is the average or startup cost for product and equipment for a new detailing business?
We just ran these numbers. I mean, you can get in there. It depends on how crazy you're going to go, but I would count on 10 grand. I think 10 grand is a good number. You could go a lot more, but I think startup. I mean, that's going over with really good equipment. You might be able to do it on a budget a little less than that. But I think that, if you're going to take in all, get the products you need, get the equipment you need. I mean, what's the pressure washer alone going for? $1,500.
Yep.
Steamer, there's 3,000, there's 30 your budget right there. So, I'd say 10 to 15 grand, somewhere right in there, is good. And again, you could do it for less, but to do it right, it's going to cost you that 10 grand, give or take.
Yeah. I think when I started up, I spent about 14, but that was also with some stuff to outfit my van,
Right.
in addition. And, but looking back, there was also stuff I bought that I didn't need to buy, and that's a part of it too.
Yep.
So.
Tommy, we'll run you through and help you on that one. The other thing is you're going into a shop. Believe it or not, I think the setup on a shop's a little cheaper than a van because you got all the construction costs, involved. The other thing that's not included in there is, as you said, separate from the lease, is the building, improvements. So if you've got to take and do any, improvements to it, build outs, paint, floors, anything like that, man, that price is going to skyrocket, real quick. You could be, when we bought this place, we were 30 grand into it in a month, and we had all the equipment, everything else, but it was floors, paint, just doing all the different things. Man, it added up real quick. And now I can't imagine, what we've got into here. And so, you want to be really careful. I would take and put flooring in that you can remove, and take with you. I would do epoxy floors in a lease, A lot of shops have it now, a lot of the newer shops and stuff that they lease out, they already have it. But I think just in products and equipment, 10 to 15 grand, you're going to be okay. Just don't buy a bunch of shit you don't need.
That's right. All right. Before we go, we'll squeeze in one more here from Fast Eddie.
Fast Eddie.
Remember, his name's John. Any good advice for a new business owner? I didn't intend to start a detail business, but here I am. I started a business from absolutely nothing. I've had some incredible good luck, and I'm looking for a shop space because I'm outgrowing my home shop. And then let me get to the rest of it real quick. Let's see. How do I keep myself from getting in too deep too quickly?
I'd say if you're that busy where you're outgrowing your shop, why outgrow your shop? Just raise your prices. Serve fewer better. That would be my first. That would get your prices up to where you're at $100, $125 an hour average, minimal, and then look for the shop. So I'd kind of reverse this back. Is that you've already got a really good setup. The economy, we just don't know where it's at. I sent Chris that link about real estate. It's just got slammed in December, right? Now it's starting to pick back up again, and interest rates came down a little bit, and it's there's definitely, I'm watching a lot of movement on the real estate side, positive movement. And so we don't know where this is going to go. We don't know if this is just them pumping up falsely, but I'll tell you, being brand new, Fast Ed, he's being able to take and meet with you and your wife. This is the Chris, I don't know if you're there. His wife and I hit it off. She's cool people. And she said she wouldn't do something, and I called her a name. And she's crack up. I'm kind of scared of her though. She's like Diane. She's a little spooky. But I would say that I would just go after talking to you two at Mobile Tech and getting a feeling for your business. I would say raise your prices and go after the right clients with the right priorities that match your priorities, and try to stay in that home shop for as long as you can. It's kind of the hip thing to do right now. Back when we were doing it, it wasn't. But I love that. My house is 40 yards, not even that way, south of here. And so, we've got our shop on our property. And God, when we were running a very successful shop, the last year, our youngest daughter, before she went to kindergarten, I wanted to work from home. So I worked from home and was right there. And there's a lot of pictures of her in my Chevelle and on the motorcycle, and her out. She's constantly in my shop, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. And then when I went back to taking appointments in the shop, because I did all the high end stuff, right? My customers didn't like it. They liked bringing it to my home where nobody else could even see it, and they preferred that. And I was like, whoa, who would have ever guessed that, right? So I just kept working out of I had a shop not far from our home shop, but all the high-end stuff, they wanted me to work at it on my home shop. Go figure. So, you've got to take in incredible luck. A lot of it is. And it's just because you're naturally growing because you've got a full-time career and you love this. And that passion's growing you, and that's pretty cool. Now, when you turn it over to full-time, is that going to stalemate it a little bit? I think that if you've got the right customers and you're charging the right amount and you've got very little overhead, I think it keeps that passion alive.
Yeah, I like, I can't remember where I saw it recently, but I really like the term private detailer. Just kind of becoming that private exclusive detailer for people, out of your home shop or garage. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, we used to have in our shop, we had a detailing concierge, and he took care of all of our membership clients. And they loved it because he had a separate cell phone. They could get it. They didn't have to call into the office. They're spoiled. And I think that, Fast Eddie, I think you guys have this. I love the name.
Very cool. Well, guys, Renny's got to go train our students some more today. So we're going to cut this one. There's a couple more questions that came in, but what I'll do is I'll grab them and I will save them for the next Q&A. But if you like, you can reach out to either one of us, Renny at detailingsuccess.com or Chris at detailingsuccess.com. Send them in, and we'll definitely queue them up for the next one. And maybe we could even just help you out on the side and answer them too.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Hey, take care. These are fun. I like it. So keep bringing them in.
Yep. Nope. They're cool. We're planning to do these at least once a month. So we should be able to keep that going.
Perfect. All right, guys, we're out of here. We're going to go shine up a car.
Thanks for listening to the Renny Doyle podcast, brought to you by Detailing Success and PNS Double Black. Listen to new episodes weekly, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to share with your friends and colleagues.